This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com. This show is brought to you by Slice on Broadway, supporting Pittsburgh podcasting with the perfect pepperoni pizza. Production services by Sidekick Media Services. And listeners like you, supporting us at patreon.com/awesomecast. It's time to get geeky, get awesome. It is the AwesomeCast. I'm Mike Sorg at Sorgatron on Twitter here in the Sorgatron Media Studio in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and we got a fun one planned or not planned or however it goes. You know, it's podcast night, and it's just going to get crazier as we go with the other shows. But we have with us a hell of a crew, and we are off the road, and we got a lot to talk about. Had some very interesting experiences up there in Michigan this past week that we will get in. And first of all, from Studio C in the Big D of Dormont, PA, is the gadget guru from Big Bank International Esquire. He is John Chichilla joining us. How you doing, Chilla?
Pretty good. How are you doing tonight?
All right. Good. Busy. I haven't stopped. I tried to take a day off yesterday and it didn't work too well. So also with us, my travel companion. That sounds now that this sounds like Doctor Who. That's weird. I don't know. Avid motorsports photographer now, along with us on the SAE media team and Sidekick Media Services and social media guru, the Dudders. Oh, I used guru. I'm so sorry about that. We were just talking about that.
I'm so mad at you. Social media ninja guru.
Oh no. Well, you know what? Also with us is an iPhoneography ninja, if you will, and maybe even a rock star of auto, is Dave Podner of the iPhoneography podcast.
Thanks for having me on. So I do have so I'm going to switch on the automotive hat when we talk a little bit about cars versus the iPhoneography hat that I normally wear.
Yes, it is. I love. Well, listen, Katie and I have been like super SAE branded for like 20 some days now, and now I'm just like, no, please. Like both Missy and I have so many shirts. Missy and I both went to the movies yesterday to see Lightyear wearing SAE shirts from different competitions. It was sad. It was like we're both wearing blue. We both have SolidWorks on the back of our shirts. What is happening right now? But anyways, well, we'll get into that. We have you on for a reason to make sure, because I'm like, this car, it's shiny and it does stuff. And Dave's going to be like, well, that's so-and-so and such, and that's not even on the market yet. That's how I found out about some of these. I figure if I see a car in front of me at an event, somebody could buy it. And that was not true. But we'll get into that in a little bit. Also with us, we have a special guest with us, David Carpenter, the CEO of Gamiotics. I hope I said that right. He has got some really cool stuff here that we're going to be talking about here here in the show. Dave, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on tonight. I'm excited.
Oh, awesome to have you on here. We're gonna have a great discussion about what you have working on. I don't even know what what's the 2-sentence elevator pitch of what we're going to be talking about, because I don't know where to start with this. There's so much cool stuff.
So I'm the CEO of a software company that has built a platform that allows for branching narrative and gamified experiences in the live entertainment space. And we just were in Pittsburgh last month with a show called 20-Side Tavern, so we're going to talk about it.
There you go. Oh, that's not the right one. This button here. There it is. Hello. That's a button for later. That's where you got me at the D&D, because we've been doing a lot of a live D&D with some of our pro wrestling friends here in the studio as of late, and I thought I'd be excited. Actually, that's how we decided to get you on, because I sent it to those guys. I'm like, do you find this interesting as I do? Right. And they said, yes, please. And here you are. So, awesome. So you can thank the pro wrestlers for confirming that I should book you.
I mean, we always do. And I think I probably know who you're talking about, because we got invited to an MMA event in upstate New York that we can't go to. But yeah.
No. They're local Pittsburgh guys, but I'll make sure you guys are connected after the show. So anyways, this is the AwesomeCast. You can check out everything at awesomecast.com. Email us at awesomecast@sorgatronmedia.com. Of course, tweet us at AwesomeCast, and you can communicate with us at the Facebook group, Reddit, and Discord for the AwesomeCast. And please subscribe to us on all your favorite podcast players or the Sorgatron Media Master Feed, where you'll get us our wrestling shows as well as our mindfulness podcast, Fishing Without Bait. We have a really cool interview with the anxiety commander, who has a YouTube channel. that we had a really good discussion with last night. Part 1 of that just dropped today. And that will be 3 or 4 parts, it looks like, here in the coming weeks. So stay tuned for that. And, of course, you can join us live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern on the AwesomeCast Facebook, YouTube, the Sorgatron Media Twitch, and even on the AwesomeCast Twitter we are live. And we do have all the chat rooms up. Let me double check. We almost have all of the chat rooms up. And we'll be actually have all of them up in a second here. So if you are out there, wherever you want to check out the show, and I know most of you guys are communicating with us over on the Facebook, but of course we do have the Twitch and everything up, and I know some of our SoCal friends usually pop into the Twitch, so we do appreciate anybody that wants to be part of the show or correct us live when we misspeak about certain technical aspects. And of course, throw a shout out to our friends at postindustrial.com for sharing the show, and our friends that have been getting a lot of extra content at patreon.com/awesomecast, because this is the only show of the 3 we have on Patreon that we got a special beta for video. And you got, as I think somebody commented, Dave, I think you did, Katie playing with car butts, as we'll talk about here momentarily. Yeah. So I threw a little extra video. I wanted to test the feature and to give you guys a little bit more. And I've been trying to talk to you guys a little bit more, too. So about things coming up and some behind the scenes or pictures I'm not sharing on social media from some of the events we're doing, especially since they've been very automotive technology in nature lately with the Formula and the Auto Drive Challenge and everything that we're doing. Or Muddy with Baja, I suppose. But thank you to everybody who is supporting the show, our friends at the executive producer level, Brian Crawford, at the coffee club level, Matt Weller, John Carmen, Cynthia Klosky, Scott McTaggart, and Mike Pound, and at the fan of the show level, Michael Fedor, our longest Patreon, by the way, Professor Buzzkill, and, hey, Dave Potter, who's here right now. Thank you for supporting the show and contributing as well. Like I said, you guys can support the show too at patreon.com/awesomecast. All right, before Katie and I every time we get into like our awesome thing from a trip, I feel like we're showing like the vacation slideshow. So I'm going to hold off on that for a second and get through all your guys' awesome things of the week. Dave, I know I dropped this last minute. Your thing is your interview is the awesome thing as far as I'm concerned. But if there's any tool or anything you want to share after this, let us know, okay? But anyways, let's start with since he's here, since he's going to be talking cars with us, let's get on his other thing. Potter, let us know what's happening in the camera world.
Okay, so Camera Plus 2, or originally Camera Plus way back in the day, was one of the original alternative camera apps for the iPhone. The first time I downloaded it, it was on my iPod Touch, to tell you how old it was, before I had an iPhone. And they just updated to Camera Plus 2. They had a major update. A couple things is, the 48 megapixel upscaling.
Ooh.
So, now it's obviously you cannot, as much as you want to magic stuff with software, if you have a 12 megapixel camera, you have a 12 megapixel camera.
Yeah, that's what and 12 megapixels is what we typically have with an iPhone these days, right?
Correct.
Okay.
For the last 5 years at least, going back to at least to the iPhone 10 and the iPhone 8, was 12 megapixels. But what it does, it uses the machine learning. So it's already did all the machine learning in the background to increase the resolution in software without making it look clunky and nasty, which you can do if you over sharpen an image. So I did do a little bit of test on this, actually in my office. And I would say, because the iPhone camera is so good in general, if you're in a nice, well-lit area, it's hard to notice the difference just because the camera's good. But you can notice where, like I did a shot down a hallway using the built-in camera and Camera Plus 2 with the ultra res. And you can read things a lot clearer going down the hallways. The one hallway has like a series of posters going down. And as you're looking down, you can see it's a lot clearer using the Camera Plus 2 shot. And at the very end of the hallway, there's one of those lit exit signs, which are hanging from the top of a lot of offices. So you know which way's out in case there's a fire. With the built-in camera with the iPhone, now admittedly, this thing's 30 feet away. It's you can see there's a sign and there's red lines. You can't even read the lettering. With the Camera Plus 2, you can actually zoom in on the image and read exit on it. So it to me, it is a nice little touch. And I've actually tried it using, instead of using macro mode, using it as a pseudo macro mode. And it does a really nice job with picking up details. Now, your images are large, so they will be taking up a lot of space. And the other negative is, like with the iPhone, you get the live photos, you get the built-in Apple Magic processing, which this does not have. So, but as a nice little touch, I like it. If you're an existing user of Camera Plus 2 and you paid for the upgrade way back when, you're grandfathered in, which is always a good thing. If you're brand new, however, they move to a subscription model.
Okay.
Which I understand. You're a developer, you need the money to actually develop, especially if you're a small firm like Camera Plus 2 is. You're not a Google or, Facebook, where these apps are just throwaway things just to get eyes. This is all they do. They basically, this is their main app. So,
and this is
model.
This is an app that, I want to clarify. This is an app that early on, would often get a lot of the features, including, I think there was a debate or a scrutiny over them using what we all do now with the volume button being the clicker for your camera, because they had kind of access that and maybe they weren't allowed to yet as a software developer. So if you're subscribing to them, throw them some money, they are the ones pushing things forward as far as your iPhone-ography, if you will. So worthwhile. I remember doing some very cool things on these. On, like, I don't know, an iPhone 3G maybe back 10 years ago. So worthwhile. Everything's got a subscription, but it's nice that they grandfather you in if you did pay for it early on.
Right. And they did do some UI updates, so a lot of the functionality is still there. The filters, all the extra stuff that was there is still there. Yes. And the UI is a lot better. It looks a lot more modern, where before it looked like it was originally designed for the 4 and the 4S. Absolutely. So it just is a lot better setup now. So
I want to clarify, because you're saying Apple Camera Plus 2. I go to their thing and it says Camera Plus 22, and then I don't see a listing for a Camera Plus 2, but you see the version is 22. If you go down here on the App Store, where it's somewhere there, I think it's like around here or something. You're right. It says, and this is a branding issue with them, because if you go back to their webpage, it says on top, I think it still says Camera Plus 2. I had that right there. It says Camera Plus 2 at the top, and say welcome to Camera Plus 22. And this is a post from today, so I'm not screwing this up. I know this is a recent one. So
yeah. So I mean, the thing is, what you're looking. There's other Camera Pluses out there too. That's everything by different companies, but they have not been updated in 4 or 5 years.
Right.
So if you go to like I said, this has been around forever and ever. Some of the other modes, like it shoots in regular RAW and Pro RAW, and it has what's called a monuments mode. So that's similar to what Spectre was at one time, where if you want to take a picture, let's say of a building, you take your picture, it takes a series of pictures, and it removes anything that moves. So if you have a bunch of people kind of milling in front of an area, it will take enough pictures and say, okay, this hasn't moved, this hasn't moved, this hasn't moved, those move, so they're not part of the building, so we're going to remove them and put everything on top of it. Now, I will say this. That's the one negative. Their HDR setting is the Clarity Pro is excessively aggressive. I like their other filters. That is just, I really wish they would make that better.
Yeah.
I wish it's just other software if you want to do a little HDR clarity work, like Polar, Lightroom Mobile, Snapseed, or even the built-in editing, which gives you a lot with the iPhone. But yeah, that's just something I would just not good at.
Let's see what it does on the old iPad Pro here.
Okay.
This is my nose hair shot, but you get the kind of idea. You
There
got
we
a
go.
lot of tools to get in on this thing. So, oh no, I don't know what I just pressed. Oh no. By the way, hey, side note, I was at a show with our good friend Beastman over there in West Virginia, McMecken, for Victory Championship Wrestling, and I would love that they had a TV and they had like a camera. They had a TV up and of the ring so they could see from back in gorilla position what was going on, so they can, hey, run-ins and whatever's going on. I think I just broke kayfabe, sorry. But I'm looking at this and I see the tools up there and I'm like, where's the camera? What's the camera? Because this looks familiar. And it was an iPhone and it had old Filmic Pro on it with the HDMI out, and then they had going to the TV in the back, which is hilarious. And I think I sent the video to some of you, maybe probably Katie saw it, but he didn't plug in the power. And it came up the low battery 10%, so I'm pressing the button on the giant TV, kind of thing. But it was kind of a fun, because we've talked about Filmic Pro a good bit here. I've used it as an extra camera actually on the D&D sessions, as we'll be talking about. As just that extra camera that kind of comes in and can come into the switcher and everything like that. It's really nice, has a clean HDMI feed. It goes along with the Camera Plus, again, just getting a little bit more out of your camera, out of your phone camera kind of situation. Go check that out. Camera Plus. How much is the subscription there, Dave?
I don't know it offhand. I think it's $3.99 for a month, which I would say do that as a test.
Oh, I got it right here.
Don't assume you're going to do $4 a month, because that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I got it right here. So it's monthly is $3.99. A yearly is $1.50 a month. And then if you want a one-time purchase all around, don't have to worry about it again. Probably stuff like it's got grandfathered is $24.99 for just the lifetime subscription. It looks like you do get a 7-day free trial, then $17.99 a year. That's what that $150 a month works out to.
Okay.
So go check that out. Camera Plus. Chilla, what do you got for your awesome thing?
Mine's a little low tech for this week, but
What? You're the one that was moving 4K cameras the last 3 weeks, so you're allowed, okay?
I'm going to the brick.
Oh, we got to show Mad Mike this
So
over on
Lego
our
has
Mayhem show.
announced-
Go ahead.
LegoCon 2022 took place over the past weekend. There were a lot of reveals. The iconic Lion Knight's castle. Star Wars had the AT-TE Walker and the Galaxy Explorer, but they also announced Doctor Strange Sanctum Sanctorium. It's a 2,708 piece, 3-story recreation of Strange's brownstone in New York. Super interesting looking to me. If you've seen it was reminiscent of a smaller version of the Daily Bugle, which is a really nice build, but almost twice as expensive, because the Doctor Strange does come in at $249.99. But you do get 3 floors in the build. The entry floor will be reminiscent of the movies. The second floor is I think the library, and then the third top floor is the Museum of Mystical Collections. There's some cool pieces to the build where there's the sling ring portal type thing in the back. So there, even on the back of the build, there's some cool stuff in there. They have the creature from the new movie.
No spoilers. No spoilers. No spoilers.
Really nice build. That was in the previews. So
I guess it
don't
was,
consider
and
it
it's going to be
spoiler.
on Disney Plus in like a couple weeks, right? So
Tomorrow.
Yeah. Is this seriously tomorrow? Okay.
June 22nd is
geez.
the streaming Disney Plus.
I've lost my whole month.
But if you do click the link where it says available to order here on the Lego site, they do have a couple additional pictures down the left-hand side where you can see kind of the top of the building, the entry-level floor with the steps, the libraries in there. It kind of comes apart in sections to like, from what it looks like, to play with. That's the one thing I will say I do like about the Daily Bugle is it's all accessible from the back. They do have some physical switches that let you change kind of what's behind the doors. But but a super cool build nonetheless. I don't know if I'll be able to afford getting this one, but it does go on sale on August 1st at like, I think 12 midnight. So go check it out. Pretty cool build. I'll be interested to see what it would take to, if you've ever seen Wicked Brick, they make protective cases for your Lego builds to keep them dust free, but they're easily removable. So you can still play with them. I'm interested to see what the price on their case is going to be for this, because it's a pretty tall build.
Excellent. So go check that out. Sanctumson. Yeah, Mad Mike's probably going to be looking at that one because we do a little bit of a Lego update, and I can't remember which one he just did. But I think he's doing some Infinity Saga stuff right now, so I'm sure he's aware. I'm sure he's going to bring it up later on the wrestling show tonight. Honestly,
I did just pick up the new Iron Man. There's like an added Hall of Armor piece that should be here in the next couple days. That's really hard to find right now.
There you go. Awesome. So, Katie, let's go with your awesome thing of the week. Our co-awesome thing that we experienced, I suppose.
Yeah, so we were at SAE for the Formula event. This was my first Formula event.
No, Michigan Speedway. M-City was Autodrive. I know it all blends together.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just said Formula. Anyways, so we were there, and the competition was between essentially internal combustion engines and also electric vehicles. Mm-hmm. So there were two different sets of vehicles, and we got to see both of them. Weren't as many electric because that is still kind of an emerging technology, but we did. So there's always vendors there, and there's always these events, and they're hanging out, and they, Tesla was there because they always do a thing. And GMC's always, GM's there with their things, and a few other ones. And at the end of the day, we had this unique photo opportunity.
Yes. You got to corral a few cars on the winner's circle at NASCAR.
Yes. So we had the GMC Hummer, EV, electric Hummer. We had two Rivian,
I believe it is.
Rivian, yeah. Sorry. And the the L car. I just blanked out on what it was.
We had Lucid, and then
was it Lucid?
Yeah, it was Lucid. That's Lucid right there. The kind of tan car there in front of Katie in the shot, if you're with us on video. And we have 4 Ford cars, including the F-150 Lightning.
Yeah, and then a retro looking Ford car that was actually all electric. Yes. But it had a very retro look to it, which was super cool.
I got some shots of this. So yeah, this is like I keep getting that couch shot. It was a retro electric build, I guess they did. And and here is a little bit of the engine compartment where you see where they've I'm guessing they kind of took a frame of an old one. I know Dave, if you know anything about this, and they put their Ford performance.
I don't know, but I can imagine they gutted all the mechanicals and left the frame there. And then because, the electric motor, you always put all the batteries are on the bottom. So, the electric motor is a whole lot smaller than a gas engine. So that's why there's room in the front of the truck, the frunk, as they call it, for various, frunk, F-R-U-N-K, front trunk. So where the trunk, where you can lift up the hood, and right there in the front you can put like your groceries or your golf bags or whatever you want to put down there.
Yes, it was a F100 Ford Custom. It says right here. So so that they were always showing stuff off. And see this old truck got like the tablet display, that cross display kind of thing. And then we just got like we got like 20 minutes notice on this. It says we would love to see the sponsors want to get together, everybody except Tesla. And they wanted to get a picture on the winner's circle of the NASCAR track up there, the Speedway. And of course, Kaylee had to direct the entire thing. So I don't know. I think you directed about, oh God, I think you directed almost $1 million worth of cars on that. On that.
No big deal.
If not more. Jeez. It was ridiculous.
And the crews were so great to work with. The folks with the cars were so excited about it. I think that was the best part, was just the sheer excitement they had for us to do this. And just like, they were like, okay, how do you want us lined up? Where do you want us? Like, what do you want to do? And we ended up doing a shot with them on the finish, in the winner's circle, just the cars. And then we did it with the folks that were with the cars.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And there's a little bit of lineup right there. Of all the cars and everybody waving. So it was great. And this is all and this is people from the companies except for the GMC. It was another guy's personal vehicle. So, because I don't think GM themselves, the sponsors, had brought any cars to this event for some reason. But Ford's always really big. Ford actually sponsors the endurance event at the end of the weekend with the Formula cars. They're always real big at this event. Just like how GM was really big at the Auto Drive event last week that we talked about. Tesla's having a bigger and bigger presence here because this is the electric event that they're working on. And while this was really great that they got everybody together, and here's a nice wide shot of all the cars out there, and that's the finish line behind them and everything. And Katie got to climb in that little box there to do a panorama the day before with all the students. So it was real cool. But even Tesla, they really kind of came out. Tesla brought a house. They were good. Of course, they pretty much just had all their products, including the power bank stuff, was on the side of this thing. And they brought a little bit of everything. The Tesla Semi was there for the first time. The Cybertruck, of course, returned. And then, of course, they had a big lineup of the Tesla. And I feel like I don't know, it's just because I've seen Tesla so much lately. Up in Michigan and here in Pittsburgh, I feel like I'm seeing a Tesla at least once a day. If I venture out of the neighborhood at this point, they're definitely kind of getting out there, and more identifiable than other electric cars. It was really interesting because they came in and they made a big show of them coming into the grounds, and they were throwing ice cream bars out to the the college students, which if you got free food, you got them. So it was pretty wild to see. But and also just seeing the Semi with an escort of Teslas coming around the garage in the infield of the Speedway was very interesting too. And we'll see if I can grab that video. I think that's a Cybertruck video. I'll see if I can pull that up here in a second. But Katie, this is your first time doing this is the last of the events that you did this season. What was your kind of impression there of the Formula event? It's definitely the most massive, right?
Oh yeah, it's huge. I didn't, comparatively to other ones, especially, I was like, wow, this is huge. And getting to see them run on the endurance track and getting to work with what I was calling the silent killers, the electric vehicles, because they were so sneaky. Well, we didn't even tell them the best part. We were waiting for these electric cars to line up for that shot in the winner's circle. And we're looking around for them, and they're like, where are they? And we just happen to turn around, and they just are right up on us because they were so quiet.
Yeah.
We didn't even notice them.
There was a good five of the cars came up the pit lane and just arrived, and we're like, and we're like, oh, there's more of you. Oh no, what? That's and then on top of when you do the electric formula, how many times when we were in acceleration, because they're mixed in with the IC vehicles. We weren't ready for them because we didn't hear them revving to take off, so we weren't ready to turn around and get the shot on acceleration, especially. And I know you got to get out there when the last 8 cars for EV were out doing endurance, which they usually do about 4 at a time or 5 at a time sometimes on a track over on the far stretch. What was that experience like?
Oh, that was super cool to see them zip through, and it's much more dramatic. The sounds are much more dramatic with those. When they're taking a turn quick and things, it's much, and it might be because the engines are so quiet. You notice every single squeal and just kind of short stop, and when things fall off the vehicle, it makes much more of a noise than if they fall off the combustion engine ones. So,
and then for everybody else that's a bigger NASCAR fan than I think most of us here, here's the obligatory Katie just being being Joe Cool over on the in the middle of the NASCAR track on the back of the golf cart while we're waiting for cars to go by.
After I ate my beef jerky on the NASCAR track.
Yes, exactly.
What else are you doing?
I think you got a picture of your feet up on that sign behind you and on the NASCAR track too. So, but no, it's a lot of fun. And like I said, I think you pointed out to me before, Ponder, when I saw some of these vehicles last month, because we were at the same event last month as well, but there weren't the student EVs at least. But the Rivian trucks are not on the market yet, and I'm not sure, are the Lucids perhaps not on the market as well?
They're not yet, no. They're both startup companies, and because unlike Tesla, which is still compared to Ford, GM, Toyota, Honda, smaller, but still large, those ones are very small. So they're still getting the production 100% ready, and there's no dealer network yet, and a whole bunch of everything they're trying to get all the kinks put out with a brand new car company.
Well,
remember Tesla started I'm sorry.
No. Go ahead. I just wanted to show while we're talking about Rivian. Yeah. If you're thinking about this, of course they're not yet. I'm sure it's going to be a little bit pricey. It's a new car company, just like Tesla, several years ago, and they're getting cheaper. But here's the hidden feature that I think nobody's thinking about. But these Rivian, you can hide your college student inside under the seat. There's this compartment pass-through thing, and then apparently, and we saw this kid coming out of it, just dragging out of it, and then we're talking to the Rivian rep, and is like, they've been doing this all day. like all of them are just coming in and crawling through it all day. It's like a young adult jungle gym of sorts. So, which also you should have seen when we were on the Caterpillar grounds a few years ago too, and they just left one machine up there for everybody to climb on. So. Yep, because put a person-sized hole out in the middle of the field with about 1,000 college students. Somebody's going to try to climb through it. It's just inevitable at this point. That's just math. So, David,
honestly,
go ahead.
No, say.
I realize we have two Davids here.
No problem. No, what I was saying about Tesla. Remember, they started off with the ultra super expensive Tesla Roadster.
Yeah.
And they got their money off of that. And then they went down into the more affordable car. I don't want to call it a car that's $40,000 to $50,000 affordable. That's not affordable.
It's getting closer. It's getting closer.
It's getting close. Well, the thing is, and this is something I saw on the news, the average monthly payment for a car, and this is car, truck, SUV, is $800 a month.
Jeez.
Which is around how much I'm paying in a mortgage right now.
I am curious because I don't think I've paid more than $450 for a car a month, and I feel like this is a discussion I was partially happening with somebody else where I was like I don't know too many people that are buying new cars, right? I feel like everybody in my world is like a used something or other, right? Like we usually get like at least a 2-year-old car whenever we do upgrade. And
that makes most sense.
Yeah. So, and I feel like the majority of people are doing that kind of thing or whatever, versus, and I don't know, maybe I'm just thinking like a lot more people don't own a car than I'm thinking, with cities and everything like that. But very interesting. So, David, we're throwing a lot of tech at you. I wonder if you had any thoughts before we move on some of the stuff we've been covering. Is he still with
Which
us?
David? Me, David?
Yes. I'm sorry, Carpenter. I'll call him.
Okay, sorry, because there's two David.
I'm going to call him Podder. It's okay. Last names. You're the new guy, so you're first name basis.
No, I thought the Tesla thing at the NASCAR track was really interesting because I saw some news about it, right? And yeah, I mean they're doing that kind of like shock and awe strategy when they're showing up at places with all their products, right? Because they're not just a car company anymore.
Yeah.
And it's funny just because like I saw this TikTok. I follow TikTok. I don't, it's not just so addictive, right? And someone who came through my feed was like, he lived in a tiny house on a plot of land somewhere, and he was a DoorDash driver, and he's like, I paid $2 a month for my electricity in my car. It's like, I'm not paying these $5 gas prices. And I was like, oh gosh, that was just so interesting. Is like taking the DoorDash or whatever, it might not have been DoorDash, but the delivery service, and being an electric car and actually making it work financially now. I was like, that's an interesting changer in this marketplace. But yeah, I mean, I don't know a ton about cars, but man, where I live, I see Teslas everywhere.
Yeah,
like they're just everywhere. They're all over the place. And I'm on that same boat of being like, who's affording this? But everyone seems to have one.
I did get picked up in a Lyft one time on a Tesla downtown Pittsburgh. And
it's weird. Like, you're like, is the car on?
Yeah,
it's a weird experience. But
you can tell he was in Lyft just to show off the car to people, because he's like, let me show you what you can do going up the ramp up to the short ramp up to the bridge here. I was like, oh boy, you are not here to make money, are you?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, like, look, I mean, I paid $70 because I got a Hyundai. I paid $70 to fill up my SUV the other day, and it's like, it's an interesting kind of economic situation, and being like, gosh, if you have a Tesla, or an electric car, are you starting to come out ahead at this particular moment in time?
Yeah, I'd be curious, but again, the overhead, the upfront's usually pretty tough too. So yeah, you got to do the math on that, and I don't think a lot of people are able to. But always fun. This is the end of the travel season. We actually have one more event. We're going to be going to Baja and Tucson at the end of September, when it cools off and we won't mind being in the desert for a minute. But no, looking for that. It was a pretty cool year of SAE, checking things out, and Ponder, we're gonna have to drag you along to one of these too, because I know you are engulfed on all of it, but I don't think you've been to one of these track events. So
I will let you know, years ago, we're talking 2009. I went to Formula Michigan.
Oh, so you know this one.
So yeah, that one I do remember, because we had a store set up with books and various other things for the students to go in and purchase, and the advisors, and I ran the store for that. So yeah, that was fun. That was fun dealing with the students and
you were like the scholastic
parents.
You were like the scholastic book fair that always showed up to my elementary school.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
But a lot more expensive. Yes.
Yeah. They're like, they're like design. Like, this is when they described it, and I always say that they always say this to me, so I always say it to describe how important Formula is. Apparently, Elon Musk. I don't think we've heard of him here. Apparently, when somebody asked him how do you get hired at SpaceX, he says, "Win the Formula SAE competition." Was one of his quotes one time, and they of course have hung on to that. And of course, like say Tesla, SpaceX was there, Blue Origin, like the companies were crazy. We learned about new companies. Katie, I think you were with me when we were talking about the one that was like, we're redesigning semi trucks, right? Because they just need to be updated because there's old fleets and stuff. Not necessarily like EV stuff, but like just the comforts and the much like how the cars and the Escalades have like the eye tracking and all that stuff. There's just make it easier on the driver, kind of things going on, and fuel efficiency and things like that to improve. So. Some really cool stuff there, and so hey, we're gonna talk to Dave, new Dave. We have new Dave with us. Other David, yes. And we're gonna talk to you about your thing in just a moment. But I want to give a shout out to our friends at Slice on Broadway, New York City style. Yins are made 4 or 5 locations. I don't know. I know they do have a new location apparently in Southside Works, I believe. Sounds like it might be a pop-up temporarily. Maybe it'll become permanent. Let's see. Go support them down there. Beachview, Carnegie, East End, and the North Hills, right up the street here. Our friends are feeding the guests whenever we do have guests. Like Shilla popped in last week and got to get a little bit of Slice and his tacos, because it's Beachview and that's a taste of our neighborhood. We do have a taco stand directly across the street here. All of this smells when I walk out my door. It's fantastic. But go check them out. Slice on Broadway. Thank you to them for supporting the show for well over a decade, and feeding the guests here and on the wrestling show later. We're gonna have a little bit of a birthday party on the Wrestling Mayhem show later this evening. So not for the show, but for our guests. But anyways, David Carpenter with
and Sorg.
Yes,
Sorg. I was going to say, don't forget when you go to Slice.
Oh no.
Be very nice when you don't kick in the door. very nicely, gently open the door.
That's right. That's right.
Very nicely.
We had somebody on the wrestling show that says, you get in there, you kick the door down and say, give me some slice on Broadway. And we say, no, that's not nice. You cannot do that. This is the problem when you try to promote something around professional wrestlers and fans of professional wrestling. So, David Carpenter, you got some really cool stuff going on here at Gamiotics. Again, we kind of talked about it here at the briefly at the top of the show, but I really want to kind of dig into this. You're talking about it's a new interactive live experience here. A good thing those are coming back. And haven't they come back with a vengeance too? In my experience, being a live production person. So tell me a little bit about how this came to be, and let's get into the details of this.
Yeah, sure. So I worked in live entertainment for about 22 years now. I'm New York based, and I worked in Broadway and off Broadway for the bulk of my career. I produced on Broadway. And one of the other shows I produced, which I have to do a plug, so I apologize in advance. But the other show that I produced in New York that I ran for 3 years was this show called Puffs. And Puffs is currently being done at the Pittsburgh CLO at their Greer Theater, and it's a hysterical show. It's a parody of the Potter universe. And it was a big hit in New York, and then now it's being done all over the place. And it's currently in your hometown. I highly encourage it. It's actually a really funny show. So while I was doing all this, I was trying to figure out this idea that I had, which was how you bring a branching narrative style experience, right? Like what you would consider or call like a choose your own adventure style experience to the live stage. And what I realized, this is going back to like 2016, is that there wasn't a simple mechanism that allowed the audience in a live event or in a theater or something like that to be able to collectively be able to make a choice. And that's actually where Gamiotics, the idea for Gamiotics, was originally born. Because I was of the mindset of like, well, gosh, everyone's walking into walking into the theater or walking into the space with their phones already in their pocket. Why can't we use that as a tool to be able to do this type of engagement that I'm thinking of, so that people can have agency and they can have control in the experience they're watching, and also make decisions and make choices that change the experience that they're watching in real time, right? So this was always a side project for me, going back. But I collaborated with this software engineer by the name of Dave Keene, and we kind of sat down and said, all right, how do we want to build this thing? What does it want to do? And of course, the original idea was like, oh, well, let's just make an app, because this is back then, whenever, it was app, right? And I was like, no, you can't. It's not really like, as an audience member, someone who goes to live events, like if I'm walking into the thing and I'm late and I don't know what I'm seeing and my friends are dragging me or something like that, and someone stops me and says, oh, you have to download the app in order to have the experience. It's like, well, I'm kind of like, I'm lost as a consumer. And one of the things that technology is supposed to do in success is make things simpler and make things easier. So I really wanted to find a way to make it really easy for an audience to walk into a space. And so, we went back and forth, and what we decided was that Gamiotics needed to be a web-based piece of software, meaning that it's just using like the browser on your phone in order to have the control, or in order to do that. And so that's where we started. And so I spent about 4 years going down a lot of blind alleys. And one of the things that I was after is not making it a gimmick, but making it a tool for the experience. And I think a lot of times when you see technology being used in a lot of spaces, especially in entertainment, like a lot of it is very gimmicky, and it's not actually contributing in a meaningful way to the storytelling, the experience. It's just kind of like to be this kind of wow factor. I was like, that isn't what I want this to be. So anyway, Puffs turned out to be a really big success. And then I produced a show on Broadway called Slava Snow Show, which did really well. It's this beautiful, beautiful thing. And as I was kind of wrapping up on Broadway, I was a little disenchanted with the industry at that point. And this is, of course, like pre-pandemic. I mean, during the pandemic, like all the demons came out of the closet for the Broadway industry. But I was a little disenchanted, and I decided, I was like, look, I really love this idea of introducing technology into the theatrical and live event marketplace in a way that no one's really thinking of it before. I'm going to pursue that. And so I started pursuing that. And then, of course, the pandemic hit and everything just went up in smoke in mid-March. And what I did is I started a production company that was effectively Zoom theater, right? And we called this thing called Seize the Show. And basically, me and a group of friends, actors and writers, got together and started just pumping out content every month and every few weeks that was like hour-long shows that were developed that used Gamiotics, so that people, no matter where they were in the world, and we had, we're going to reach a point where we had audiences in the UK all the way to Australia, all joining our Zoom at the same time and using the tech to be able to interact with the show and make decisions and take action in order to further this thing along. And people loved it, and they're having a great time. I didn't particularly love producing Zoom theater. I was very grateful when I was able to put an end to it about a little over a year ago, just because it, the challenges and you lose that kind of connection with the audience. And there is a place for it one day. It's just like, it was kind of coming to an end, but kind of a couple of things happened earlier this year, or I'm sorry, or earlier last year, which is I realized that the software at Gamiotics, which we're going to talk about, has a lot of application for it because effectively what it is a two-way communication device between audience and content that lets you talk to your audience member and allow them to have agency, allow them to have choice in the experience that they're watching, right? And kind of the other thing is that one of the projects that we had worked on inside of Seize the Show was this D&D style experience where we created this show, like, because it is a show, right? And it's now called 20-Sided Tavern, where we allowed the audience to kind of get in the action of what a D&D game is. So if you think about, a D&D game where it's you and, 5 friends sitting around a table, kind of one of the main pillars about it is that you're all creating this story together. You're all bringing something to the table in terms of your character, and the game master, the dungeon master is bringing their story and the narrative and the control, and you're all really bringing and creating, and that's what's kind of beautiful and special about it. And so we kind of sat down and said, all right, if we're able, and a lot of people have tried to crack the nut about delivering a live stage experience or a live experience like this, right? And I thought, well, if we use Gamiotics, we can bring the audience to the table as a creator in this world that we're building. And that's actually where, and it was, again, I have 2 partners in this venture. And I said, look, I think using Gamiotics in order to deliver this could provide something that nobody else is being able to provide. And so we did. We started collaborating, and we worked on it all summer. And we did a premiere at the Philly Fringe Festival for a couple of performances, and it was just like folding tables and a box of props. I'm like, you cannot imagine a lower rent production than what we put together for a couple of performances. But people in Philly just came out for it, and then they had the time of their lives. And so what we realized then was that there is a really hungry audience in this live entertainment arena who's being underserved by content, right? And that part of the secret sauce is that we allowed the audience to play the show and have stakes and have engagement with it. And the thing that we've developed is this really complex but kind of like funny roller coaster of an experience where everybody's getting to play along, everyone's contributing, everybody's got stakes. The actors are hysterical and funny because they've got these really cool jobs they have to do during the show in order to bring the thing to life. And it's never the same show twice, right? Because that's the nature of this thing that we built, is that there are so many different variables and there's so many different pathways and so many different things that can happen that it's literally impossible to ever do the show the same twice. There's like hundreds of thousands of iterations of what it can do. You could have very similar shows, of course, right? Mm-hmm. But we just found it's like combining this love of video and board games, which we all have within my team, with this kind of live event experience into this environment that's like could be plopped down in the middle of a Comic-Con and everybody would have a really great time. And so it's like, for us, like this appeal into this arena of people who love everything from Marvel to Star Wars to comic books to what board games and all these things. It's like we've created this community in this world that is allowing us to play a game with them every night and create something special. And so it's fun. It's the most fun I probably had in 22 years with the show, because it's serving all of my passions, but it's just really funny. So we did a month in Pittsburgh, right? We were at the Pittsburgh CLO for the month of April. We did 17 performances, and it was astonishing, right? Like it was astonishing. And like the community that came out in Pittsburgh was amazing. I mean, everybody wants us to come back, but it's going to be a minute because they're rehabbing the theater. but it was really validating for us to be able to gather a group of people together who wouldn't normally show up in a theatrical space that was our community to sit down and have fun. And people came back and people dressing in costume. And it was just it was a wild time, literally time. So the next thing that we're doing is we're at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival this August for the entire month. And we're going to be running a version of the show there. So that's what I'm doing. So it's like Gamiotics in terms of like being this tool for this experience. And then like I always describe people as like I built a Nintendo, right? I built a platform, and then it's like, oh gosh, what do I do with this platform? Well, I got to go build a Super Mario Brothers to go in it, and so that's what I'm doing right now.
So this is and looking at your app and everything, and we're showing some video in here and everything too, and hopefully this helps people kind of wrap their head around it too. If you've ever played You Don't Know Jack over like Twitch, right? And you know, there's always a code, and you go in and there's like a web browser, and you play the game that's playing. Like it feels like you've done that and applied it to live theater. And that's really awesome.
The trick with us is that we are the only software in the marketplace that's actually built for the live entertainment market.
Yeah,
right? I mean, like the stuff that Twitch is doing is cool, but it's not. But we had to build something that worked in real time, right? That the speed of the technology and what that technology could do needs to happen at the pace of the conversation that we're having right now. Yeah, right.
No lag.
Yeah, and so that's a tricky thing to try and do, and that's also why I think. I mean, it took us a few years to figure it out about how to make it work correctly. But then it's a sophisticated piece of software that I've been developing, for the last, I don't know, 6 years now. That is just now getting its due. But yeah, I mean, it's really built for the live entertainment arena. So like on the Gamiotics side. What we're starting to build internally right now, because I'm in the middle of a big re-architecture of the code. There's a couple of things it needs to do. There's some automation it needs to do. There's stuff like that needs to happen. But one of the things that we're starting to build is experiences that we can plop down in any type of environment. So we're actually building a museum experience right now, because the idea of being able to, instead of go on an audio guided tour, right? And this is a passion of mine, right? Just like in terms of like the things that I like to see in the world, instead of going on like an audio guided tour, we're on a linear journey and you're being fed the information, right? Throughout the experience. We thought, well, what if we take Gamiotics, because it can deliver audio files, it can deliver video files, it can deliver web files, it can deliver all sorts of things, based on the responses that you're making within the software. They said, what if we build an adventure where you start making choices going through a museum, and it takes you on an adventure based on your choices. And it takes you places that are unexpected. It takes you to places that you learn, and you learn something that you wouldn't necessarily have learned before. But because you have agency, it becomes more meaningful because it's about the choices that you've been making through this experience. And so we're actually literally on Friday, I'm going to see our first like prototype of that. We're doing it at a very famous museum that may or may not be in New York, kind of under the cover of darkness, but why not, right? But it's just something that the concept of dynamic storytelling, right, that we all see in video games, this concept of like that I'm really interested in bringing into the live space, because I feel like why Netflix can't be the only one who can do it on demand, television, and video games like own this dynamic storytelling space. I'm like, why can't we do it live? Like, there's a massive audience for it out there of people who loved it. So yeah, there's that type of stuff that we're starting to build out right now.
Absolutely. Katie, I know you have a background in this kind of like live entertainment, of course, with the haunted house, and we talk about a lot of things as we've been, Dollywood and everything in between over the last several months, right? I wonder if you have any thoughts about what we've been going over here.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sitting here thinking of all the applications within a haunted house. Or
there she goes.
Customize these adventures.
You can see them turning.
Escape room. So say we did an online escape room as season show. Like, we loved it. We had a great time. It was called Rubik's Control. It was on a spaceship. It was because you can do it in a spaceship when you're doing things on Zoom, right? Mm-hmm. And the fun thing about the escape room market is that it's very anti-cell phone, right? They don't want you to have. And I'm just like, what if we put the cell phone into it, right? Or like, what if you make it part of the experience? It'll be interesting. So we've had some conversations, but it's a tricky market. But if you introduce that kind of technology, the thing about the technology is that it's just software. You can change the puzzles and the codes every day if you wanted to, right? Mm-hmm. And one of the challenges in escape room or that type of amusement is that they tend to be one and done. Like, once you've done it, why go back? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, if you're utilizing software in this, and you're utilizing that, especially in the way that I'm doing in terms of it's coming in with you on the phone. What if you're able to change the puzzles and the message and the experiences so that you move away from the one and done model into something that can be just constant repeat business? Because that's what happened to us on 20-sided Tavern. Like, people just kept coming back over and over again, and they never saw the same show twice, right?
And especially the applications within the queue lines.
Yeah.
I think is huge, because that's something I know in the haunted attraction world, you struggle with the queue lines. Like, I have hours of lines, but people are just bored to tears, and then they get into the experience and they're already kind of about everything. Like, being able to use your gamify that and find things that kind of give them a customized experience. Like, maybe you have a specific monster that comes out because people wanted this, I want to see a clown, or I want to see you know what I mean? Like, I think there's a lot of applications within the world too, even, and like Sorg mentioned Dollywood, even within the big amusement parks, their queue lines.
So it's doing two things, right? Is that it's gamifying the conversation with your audience wherever they are, right? And in the conversations that I've had in the amusement park world, that is their big concern. Like, how do we deliver real-time, like, instant changeable communication to a consumer? And unfortunately, the park apps, right, can't really do that. They're not really built that, because they're not that specific. But if you are QR coded in at a specific ride, right, then you can deliver communication saying, hey, this ride's short over here, or hey, let's have a conversation, let's play a game with each other right now, right, in order to do it. And so, like, one of the inspirations for the software was actually the wand at Universal at Harry Potter World, right? Because I think that wand obviously was a brilliant tactic on their part, or to sell merch, right? But it was a brilliant tactic on their part to say, let's bury an RFID chip inside this wand, and then they can use it to go do things in the parks. And I'm like, oh, that's really cool. But it's only a one-way conversation. Like, you buy it, you spend your $80 or whatever it is now, right? You wave it at the thing happens, and that's the end of the conversation. And so what I thought is, like, gosh, if you put this on the phone and you wave and you interact, right? Several things could happen, but it could also lead you different places, right? You can go on a different type of adventure, because then that communication that you're having back with the consumer, like, it's not about tracking, but like, once you get on a track, you can lead them down a path, right? Because the other thing too is, like, because it's not an app, I'm not tracking anyone's info or data. That isn't the point of this, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you can always ask and say, hey, do you want to sign up for our mailing list? Like, enter it in here. Great. And you've collected something. But like, I think we've all gotten a little, like, big brothered out right now with apps, right? And so I really didn't want to design an app. So that's part of it too. And it's meant to be disposable, right? And I think that's another thing that I really love about the technology is that I'd love to go to an event and not download an app and have something that's useful and communicative, and then it's not on my phone when I leave, because I've got so many zombie apps on my phone right now. Yep. It's insane.
Yep, I have still a Dollywood one sending me some notifications from last month, and
and like, how is that an effective tool for marketing and communications, right? Mm-hmm. Like, at the end of the day, like, it's like, it's good when you're in the park and in the environment. But like, I think there is kind of a point where it's like, I don't need this, and I don't need this notifications, and now I'm annoyed. Right?
WWE just did that recently. We went to WrestleMania this year, and of course, there's so many events happening, and there was even like a ghost kitchen that you could buy. You could get these smackadillas from, and everything. But then, like, the week later, it's just gonna give you all that WWE, whatever for the rest of the season. Hey, buy tickets to the next event, come in Pittsburgh or something, right? And like, yeah, no, absolutely. But great for the time, but then that's so permanent, and everybody forgets about it. Now you're just like, well, who's tracking me? Why is Dollywood still tracking me as I'm driving through Michigan?
Right.
So
right. Because Dolly needs to know.
Dolly knows all already. Let's be true. Let's be honest about this. Dolly knows that. Probably more about Katie than anybody else, but.
So yeah, I think the thing is like, I think that there is I think that there's a market for this kind of disposable web-based technology. I think we're starting to see a lot of people starting to explore this right now. Well, the thing that I'm really after is the gamification of engagement, right? I like, just being a huge video gamer and board gamer. Like, I love this idea of being entertained, like standing in line, right? Mm-hmm. And finding right. But the way that I built it is to make it easy for everybody to use, right? Yeah. So one of the things that we've done is they haven't signed their license agreement. They said they won't sign until after July 1st because that's the start of their fiscal year. But there's a university out there that has signed up to use it as closed captioning software for all their theater performances, right? And I was like, and they came to us. It's someone that it's a guy that I went to college with, and they came to us because I've been talking to them about the technology, and they said, you know, it just occurred to us that you could bring closed captioning to every seat and deliver it during the course of a show. And it has to be a scripted show, so you have to enter the text in advance. And we don't have to buy a ton of equipment to do it, right? And our consumers don't have to buy anything. And we don't, you know, there doesn't have to be just one ASL performance that we have to advertise. We can say, hey, every performance is now accessible. And there's other like closed captioning stuff in the market, but not quite like this, and also just not easy to use. And so this is a new revelation for us. I mean, that's the joy of being, you know, at a tech startup, is like someone knocks on your door one day and says, hey, have you thought about using it this way? And you're like, no. And they're like, can it? And I'm like, I don't know. Let's find out. And we wrote some new code, and we put it in, and we did a demo for them, and they signed up on the spot. They're like, this is exactly what we've been looking for. And so it's just like that. And then it was like, gosh, what a powerful idea to be able to make the live space even more accessible. Now, it's not speech to text, right? It has to be a text-based thing, but it's just easy for everybody to use. And I think that's the point. I mean, there eventually will get into speech to text. I'm certainly interested in doing language translation and opening up, you know, live event spaces to be way more multilingual, to be able to create a larger community that isn't necessarily always English-based, English-speaking based, especially within this country, but also other countries, that you're able to provide a level of accessibility to different types of audiences. And that's, you know, but like, it's just, it was a weird conversation to be like, yeah, sure, we can do this. And they're like, sign us up for everything. And so we're piling with them next year to see if it's traction that we're able to develop and get. But it's like, it's already functional and working right now.
That's fantastic. A very, very cool. Well, you mentioned a couple places that you're going to be physically, but where can people follow to see when you're coming to their town or whatever they can get involved with, even remotely?
Absolutely. So right now, so the20sidedtavern.com is our website. All of our news and announcements are up there right now. Yeah, that's it. That's it right there. So we are doing a week in New York, the week of July 18th, at the Darryl Roth 2 Theater. It's our pregame, right? Literally calling it our pregame, which is our test run of our Edinburgh show that we're doing for New York audiences. I mean, like, we're already sold 20% of our tickets, and we're 5 weeks out. I mean, like it's a little insane. Like, we've got this fan base in New York, and this is a smaller theater than we were in last time in New York. And so like, this thing's going to sell out, no question. So you can come check us out, what we're planning on doing in Edinburgh. It's a real low rent version of the production, because Edinburgh is, you have 4 hours, you have a 4-hour tech time, and then 10 minutes to get up and tear down after every show. Oh. So you have to design it very efficiently, but it's fringe. Like, it's what it's meant to be. And then we go to Edinburgh for the entire month of August. We'll be at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. It's really cool. We've got a 4:30 afternoon slot at Pleasance at their Kingdom, which is an amazing location. Like, we have a great relationship with them. We're really thrilled that they're behind us on this. And then we will most likely be having a significant 3-month production happening this fall in a major market that everybody has heard about. I just still running through the numbers and negotiating right now, so I can't quite announce it yet, but there will do a big premiere production this fall, and then most likely at the end of Q1 in 23 we'll have a second tentpole production out there in another really major market that we've all heard about. So like, we're still new and we're still launching, and Gamiotics is going to be launching a new version of the software in September, but it's really exciting because like, we did this show in Pittsburgh, and it looked like a Comic-Con with everybody dressed up and excited and having a time. And we sold out several shows, and it was great. We wish we'd been there longer, but you know, we got booted out of the theater for something else.
I'm so sorry I missed it too. I haven't been in the loop on the entertainment here since I've been doing travel everywhere else. But hopefully you guys come back and we get a chance. I just followed, I think, all of your social media here, and so I don't miss it.
We got a Discord going. Yes. Love it. Like, that's where we're engaging with fans. We just launched a podcast just to kind of like talk about the stuff we're doing and stuff doing. It's really D&D style heavy stuff we're doing. But you know, the thing about the show is that you don't have to know anything about D&D to come and have a great time at the show, right? That's awesome. It's totally accessible. We make it easy for everybody. And it's kind of our own version of what we think the experience would be. So it's super, super fun.
I love it. At least 2 of our wrestling D&D friends have hopped in the chat room to check this out during this. So I'm hoping they follow you along as well over at Top Rope Tabletop. So thank you so much, Dave, for coming on and talking to us about your project. This is very, very cool. And I'm hoping we get a chance to experience it very soon. I don't know. Maybe I would just have to catch a trip
Come
up
to New York.
It's fun. I said it to my friend up in New York, actually, that I do the wrestling show with tonight with. Well, maybe I'll have to hop on a mega bus and head up there. So thank you so much.
Let me know. We'd love to have you. I'll get you a ticket.
Absolutely. Katie, thank you so much. I knew this is something that you'd get into.
Absolutely, so cool.
You can hop on the mega bus with me.
Yay! You know I'm in.
Well, I gotta find a gig in New York around that time, right? And we'll just make it all work together. So if anybody needs to stream an MMA show or a wrestling show in New York next month, let me know. Anyways, is Shilla still here? Are we past pumpkin time for him? Oh, he's gone. He's gone. Follow at Shilla on the Twitters. K Dudders on the Twitters as well. And there's a lot of fun stuff from your adventures the last couple weeks, of course, right? Yes.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And whatever you're getting into lately. Dave Ponner, iPhoneography Podcast. Prof Pod on the social medias.
Prof Pod's on everything except for TikTok, which someone already took it. Either that or I took it and I forgot about it. So it's Prof Pod PGH.
Are you using your iPhone or something? I noticed you got a little camo logo
I am.
in the corner.
Yeah. I've been having issues with the microphone, hooking up the microphone when I was doing the podcast. I'm getting horrible feedback.
Oof.
It works fine on my work computer.
Yeah.
So I tried using camo for the camera. Also, I know it's better than the built-in web app. So I was hoping it'd be a little bit better.
Not too bad. I was trying not to microphone shave you because I heard a little bit more room, but it's not bad.
Okay.
Not terrible. I've heard more professional podcasts sound worse. Thank you so much. Plug Chilla. Thank you, Dave Carpenter, David Carpenter of Gamiotics. Check that out. Check out the 20-sided Tavern. Come to your town. At least follow the podcast. I think I'm going to do the same here as well. And of course, I'm at Sorgatron on the Twitter. You can check out everything I am, or just me walking my dog today. I don't know. I've been on the road for 2 months, and now it's just going to get boring in Pittsburgh, okay? So, because I need to reacclimate before I get on the road again. So, thank you, everybody, for joining us. This has been the AwesomeCast. You have been our awesome audience. Have an awesome week. This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com.